Maps. Maps. Compass. Compass. Map reading. Symbols. Lighthouse. Map reading week. Map reading week. Ordnance Survey are doing National Map Reading Week from the 17th to the 23rd of October, and it's basically just trying to get people more confident about reading maps. You know, it seems it's a skill that we're all kind of losing, which would be so sad. You know, everyone needs one of those maps with a coffee stain and a corner missing where you've used it as a toothpick. You know, we all need those maps in our lives, and it would be sad if the wave of generations behind us don't have that. So, you know, if you're a bit unconfident about learning how to read a map, then, you know, go online to os.uk. There's loads of tutorials and little tips and tricks on, you know, how you can be a bit more confident in the outdoors. Parking spot. Yeah, symbols, they're pretty self-explanatory, you know. Church. Tent camping. Caravan camping. Forest. Symbols. It's not as hard as you think. Along with having a map, you obviously need a compass, you know, and that learning to use a compass is a wonderful skill. I think we all need to know. You know, it's great walking around, and you know, you've got your map down, and you work out which direction you're going to walk in, and you know, measuring it out, and it's a wonderful skill. And I'd be sad if in 100 years' time we've got this thing in a museum going, remember this thing we used to use once called a compass? No one knows how to use it now, and that'd be sad. So get a compass, get a map, get lost. You'll have a great adventure. Maps. There's always a place for electronic maps and paper maps. You know, I love paper maps, but truthfully, you know, when I'm doing Land's End to John O'Groats, I can't carry enough maps to weigh my whole rucksack down. So having an electronic map on my phone or my tablet, it works. It works for me in certain occasions. It's using actual maps though, you know, use the OS maps and find out where the trails are and zoom out and see where things are in relation to other things and find out how to get from A to B via different ways and, you know, use an actual map, you know, it's so much better. So much better.